And a very wonderful morning to everybody. Buenos dias, ¿cómo están? How are you? Let me know in the comments. I really want to take these videos, these morning sadhanas, wisdom-seeking conversations and updates to the next level of interaction so we can chat, have friendly discussion, arguments in the comments. Always with the intention of expanding what is true and our beliefs and sharing them together. I want to hear your voice. It's just as legit and interesting as my voice. And the only way we can do that is comment below and let's chat. I respond to everybody's comments. So we got a lot of fun stuff today. I have some notes on my schedule, or just my notes for the vid. Hello Maggie, say hello to everybody. And my points today to do an overview: the UFO sighting in Hawaii, healthy diet advice for 2021 optimization to get us started on a good footing, Argentina legalizing abortion, growing up being Jewish, and my life and passions before I was vegan. That's what we're going to be discussing today. But we always have to start with breath work and something to remind us of the truth and get some perspective on this life that we're living. And this is how I do it. Take some big inhales and exhales. Do it with me, please. Maybe lift your arms up into the sky, open up your chest. Let it out your mouth, groan it out. In order to get a better perspective of who we are and what's going on here, why don't we focus on gravity for about a minute? Think about the force of your butt or sits bones or your feet if you're walking or standing. Think about that force that is going and pressing into the earth. That is because the theory of gravity says the center of our earth is literally pulling all pieces of mass and matter, which is us, pulling us in towards its core. And when you get out of our atmosphere on other planets with less mass, there's less gravity. And you float in space. Gravity is only a construct of being on a place with gravity, with mass in an atmosphere. It's not necessarily just the way of the universe. No, a lot of the universe does not have gravity. And you float around like the astronauts in orbit. And that's just an amazing piece of science to think about. Remember, as we discussed in the last video, to be mindful today. Do everything with more care and precision. When you go to scratch a fly or a mosquito on your back, do it with grace, do it with intention. Think of yourself as a wild animal on this planet Earth. Treat yourself well. Let's start with the diet advice. Why not? In summary, eat whole foods this year. That doesn't mean Whole Foods Market. What a whole food means is a food in its whole form as nature provides it. When you have a mango tree like this one right in front of me, it provides a mango. Eating the mango like that is the way to eat it. Not to go to Jamba Juice and eat a mango go-go smoothie like I drank so many growing up that my parents would take me to instead of making morning smoothies. And am I complaining? No. But of course, life is also about interpreting our childhood trauma, and I had like the most privileged upbringing, but now knowing how wonderful Whole Foods are and whole mangoes living in California, yeah, I'd be lying if I said, I have such a high level of privilege that the things that trigger me are my parents didn't give me whole mango smoothies. They gave me mango sherbet smoothies at a corporate institution. Eat whole foods. Instead of eating sweet potato fries fried in oil, bake a sweet potato. Eat vegetables, grow your veggies and herbs, and eat them in their whole form. There's really a next level feeling and thing that happens when you eat like 90+% of your food in a pure, whole, organic form versus processed. It's hard to articulate, but I know the feeling because I've eaten every diet. I grew up eating absolute crap, meat, dairy, processed food, restaurant food every night, high in oil, high in salt, refined. And then I've been wow, what an amazing bug right there. I've been a vegan on like eating disorder level where I was not nourishing myself and not eating enough calories. And that doesn't feel good. My advice is eat enough food to sustain your healthy lifestyle. Eat in abundance, but not too much. You need to find that perfect place for you. And eat whole foods. What does my diet look like and what do I recommend? Hydrate in the morning. Maybe some water with a little fresh orange juice or coconut water if you live in an area with coconuts, and some lime. And then for your first meal around 9, 10, 11 a.m., whenever that is, eat a bunch of fruit. It's not abnormal to eat 5 bananas and 2 oranges. Maybe you grew up thinking that's weird and you need to have toast with butter, even vegan butter, but no, that's weirder, eating that refined stuff that's not going to give you that jolt of energy like we were meant to. We are frugivores. If you look at the anatomy of the human body, from our teeth structure to our intestine length to our carbohydrate receptive taste buds, we have evolved to be carbohydrate and sweet fruit eaters. So honor our evolution, eat fruit as your first meal. And then for lunch or dinner, I like to go with stuff like rice, lentils, pumpkins, sweet potato, veggies, stewed all together with beets. And you can make your own veggie broth and a little sea salt or Himalayan salt and an avocado. Low in fats, low in saturated fat, get rid of oil and focus on fruits, fresh and locals better. Eat a big salad every day and eat rice, beans, lentils, sweet potatoes, pumpkin, carrots, cauliflower, broccoli, kale. That's what I eat mainly, and I feel amazing. 8 years vegan now, over 8 years. Did my blood work just a month or 2 ago. Spot on. I need to make a video today reviewing that blood work. So that's my diet advice, and live a active lifestyle and figure out the amount of food you need to eat so that you're trim, lean, but strong and feel good. There's a magical feeling when you find that perfect balance where you're fit and active but light as a feather and strong. You deserve to find that perfect place, and it is game changing. As I said, I have been underweight in an eating disorder mode. I've been chubby and overweight when I was trying to bodybuild, and that served me at that time for my goal. But to me, nothing feels better than finding that sweet spot of being light and flexible, but strong and confident and clear-headed and imaginative. It just works for me, so I want to share it with you guys. So that's my diet advice. Next, let's talk about the UFO. So a day or 2 ago, this video comes out of this blue object floating in Oahu, I believe, and tons of videos. You can go look at it on YouTube, and then it plunges into the ocean. There's not enough evidence based on that video to say that it was a space-like UFO. It was a UFO because the Hawaii space, I don't know, flight aviation people said, like, there was not supposed to be that object in like the records, you know, of aerial things floating through the airspace at that time. So it is a UFO. A UFO is just an unidentified floating or flying object. But because of the popularization of UFOs in space and the Bob Lazar documentary, and people say, you know, different people in the military, and then you had this former Israel, a couple weeks ago, the former Israeli like space program government official guy. He's like 80 something years old now, so you can't fully trust the mind, I guess, as it deteriorates. But he said, Trump knows there's aliens, we all do, all world governments are hiding it from us, they just don't think the public is ready. And then Joe Rogan has really popularized bringing on different UFO and alien theorists on his podcast, saying that they're here. We've made contact with other species. They have technologies that humans cannot fathom, where they can fly and drop instantly, not even using jet propulsion, but some sort of gravity propulsion type systems. And look, the reality is, there are real conspiracies, and governments do keep things from the public that they know in fear of public outrage. And there is an absolute chance that there's life on other planets that have made contact with Earth. And there's a lot of eyewitness testimony, but there's also a lot of lying people. So we just don't fully know, I guess, until there's freaking video and an interview on mainstream news showing, here's the alien we found, here's their spacecraft. And I feel like if that happened, we would get that sort of news. Maybe not. Conspiracies, I believe, are hard to pull off because it means you need a wide variety of people all in on this secret, and they don't tell their wives or their fitness trainer or their children, and they keep it a good secret. That's very unlikely when it's something as big as people saying that world governments know that there's aliens, we have them in custody and stuff. That would be a very hard secret to pull off. So if it were my guess, based on the video of this Hawaii UFO that I saw, I think, and I don't know, this is just my theory, this was probably a human putting up some flying object, some balloon or some drone, trying to freak people out. It was like glowing blue. But is there a chance that with 2021, you know, this is real. In the COVID relief bill, that was stimulus bill that was just signed, there's literally a little line in there saying that, this was from Congress, saying that if there's people in the, I don't know, Space Force or whatever aviation force in the US, if they know things about UFOs and about aliens that they haven't told Congress and the general public, they have 180 days to reveal it. That's real. That was actually, you can look that up. That was put by Congress in the stimulus bill. So there's weird stuff going on in terms of the government unleashing information about aliens and space and stuff like that, but it's a little premature to say like, yeah, due to that and Joe Rogan's podcast and eyewitness testimony and this blue thing in Honolulu, there's definitely aliens out there and we're communicating and interacting with them. We're not quite there yet, but it does feel there's something in the air that we're getting closer to that, and that's fascinating and interesting and crazy. We're continuing the video. We ain't done. I'm just making sure we're still recording. Hell yeah. And sorry I keep on scratching. I'm trying to soak in some vitamin D. The sun was out a second ago, and there's just, when you hang out in the plants shirtless and you're not moving, lots of no-see-ums and mosquitoes come and hang out with you. Next on the list is, let's talk about Argentina legalizing abortion, how I feel about it. They legalized it up to 14 weeks of abortion, which is about 3.5 months. I think that's probably, perfect amount of time where it's safe to say that, this is my opinion, let's talk about it in the comments, I believe in abortion like 100% for multiple reasons. First and foremost, I care more about an adult woman and her body and her lifestyle choices. I care more about her being able to do what she wants, an adult woman, than the clump of cells that is inside of her stomach that doesn't even have a grasp of reality of what life or the world is yet. I care more about that woman who's pregnant and deciding she doesn't want to have that baby. I care more about her making that choice for herself than I value the little clump of cells forming into a baby in her stomach. Now, religious people or other people will say, no, a life is a life and we shouldn't discriminate. And if life starts to be created, you got to preserve it. Okay, I can't argue with that. Like, yes, abortion is baby killing. I'm just saying I feel more comfortable having it, given that we have safe ways to do abortions now. I hope it's legalized everywhere so women have the right to safely go get a service that dictates their body and their future life. If they don't want to have this child for a multitude of reasons, maybe they were sexually assaulted and raped and don't want to have it, or maybe they're just not emotionally ready, financially ready to bring a child into the world, and we love to have sex as humans, so it happens. We make babies on accident, we get pregnant, and then I think it's great to have the choice, especially 14 weeks or less, when this thing isn't even a freaking human in a stomach yet. It's just a clump of cells that has no concept of its life or reality. So that's why I believe in abortion. And honestly, we have too many people on the planet. I'm a hypocrite. I want to have kids because I just feel an emotional connection to being a father and spreading my own genetics. And I know that's lame environmentally, but it's emotional and I want to do it. So I'm a hypocrite, but damn, if someone wants to not have a new child into this world, I respect that. And we have too many people. Climate change and global warming and all that, environmental destruction, is only connected to there being too many humans who are taking too many resources. We have almost 8 billion people on the planet. Like 100 or 200 years ago, there was like 1 or 2 billion people on the planet. We've completely blown out of control since the Industrial Revolution, and that is why we're having these environmental disasters and climate change. That's going to cause a lot of pain and suffering to humans and animals on our planet. So anything to get less people on here, I think, is probably good. Next, growing up Jewish. Judaism is interesting because being Jewish is actually an ethnicity. So like when you get a 23andMe or genetic testing on one of these services, which I actually just asked both my parents to do. So when both your parents get it, then you know as the child exactly what you are, your ancestry. It literally comes up, if you're Jewish, what percent of Jewish, they call it Ashkenazi or Sephardic Jews, where like those, I don't know exactly how it works, but literally, like when you do a genetic testing, they can't tell if you're Christian because there's people of all ethnic backgrounds that are Christian, but Judaism is an ethnicity in addition to a religion. It comes up in your blood, literally. And both my parents come from like Eastern European Jews, their grandparents, so my great-grandparents. So I'm pretty sure I'm gonna find out I'm like almost 100% Ashkenazi Jew. We'll see. But I don't identify spiritually as Jewish at all. Judaism just means you follow the Torah, which is the Old Testament of the Bible, and there's stories of how to live. And yeah, there's some good parts in it, of course, just like there's good aspects in any religion. Don't harm other people. Whatever the good tenets are of most religions, but I don't believe in anything that's just weird storytelling based on thousands of years ago and that are also attached to weird practices like circumcision. Circumcision might have been cutting baby penises, the foreskin off, might have been smart at some period in time when sanitation wasn't as accessible and easy like it is in our modern culture and people are getting like dick infections. That I can understand, that seems practical, but in today's world, there's no downside to having your natural foreskin. And imagine the trauma. Like when I was like 4 days old or something, I literally had a cotton ball soaked in wine put in my mouth, and a ton of people in a party looking around me to get me like drunk as a baby, and then a rabbi cut my foreskin dick skin off. There's gotta be some like super childhood trauma related to that, and that's what Jews do. Jews don't eat meat and milk together in the same meal. You need 6 hours apart. Now that's funny for me to hate on because I don't believe in eating meat or milk, but I'm saying just as a principle, the fact that it's okay to eat dairy, but then you have to wait 6 hours to eat meat, there's no logic to that. It's fucking stupid, and I don't like any belief system that's based on stupid shit. It triggers me. Rather than believing in just things that are purely real, nature and science and health and what makes you feel good. But I did grow up very Jewish. I was bar mitzvahed, I studied the Torah, I could read Hebrew. And what I like about Judaism is there is a lot of great community aspects. We really stick close to each other as a community because we've been so oppressed over the entire Jewish race. There's been so much oppression from the Israelites in Egypt being oppressed, and then of course the Holocaust, and there's a lot of anti-Semitism still. So Jews stick together, and we're fighters. We have great humor. It's a very funny, cynical culture, and I resonate with that and enjoy that funny, cynical humor, kind of ball busting. Jews are also kind of complainers as a stereotype. That's kind of fun, but it's probably not that good. So like there's some aspects of Judaism I like and resonate with, and then some that I think are silly. And but growing up, yeah, I went to Hebrew school. So many of my friends were Jewish. I went to a Jewish summer camp called Camp Hess Kramer. That was like literally one of the greatest blessings of my life. But it was like Jewish light. It wasn't very Jewish. It was mainly just hippie, peace, love, singing with some Jewish principles. So yeah, I grew up super Jew, Reformed LA Jew. And you know, you gotta wear a kippah, you gotta wear like a funny hat going into temple and wear a suit. I'm just not into that. I believe in like radical, from a you know, I want to raise my kids being like super connected to the earth. Like to think about my parents on like a weekend saying what's best for our family is to get dressed up, and I'm not hating on my parents, this is just Jewish culture in general. It's best to spend our time getting in a suit, putting on a funny kippah, getting in our car, burning fossil fuels to go listen to some guy sing Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, which we don't even know what it means. That's the word that's worthy of our time, versus, hey, let's spend this afternoon going in the backyard, getting on our hands and bare feet and looking at soil, getting B12 into our hands, learning about the insects in our community. My parents never did that. I think that's more spiritual and a better use of time than to go to temple. I really do. What do you think, Maggie? So that's why I can't get behind Judaism and identify as Jewish, but I do identify as Jewish because it's literally something I can't avoid. It's in my blood. I just don't practice the spiritual aspect in any way. Lastly, for this morning's sadhana, is my life and passions before I was vegan. I went vegan at 19. I was vegetarian before that, but I was literally vegetarian without like researching anything. I just was like, it makes me sad to eat meat. So from the age of 14 to 19, I was vegetarian, and then I went vegan and really got into it and lived the lifestyle and realized like it was my passion to learn and teach people about sustainability and animal rights and all that stuff. When I was 19 on. But before that, I was obsessed with art, and I still am obsessed with art, but this kind of stuff, YouTube, permaculture, building the farm here, took priority over what my passion was before, which was pure art, ceramics, illustration. I wanted to be a ceramic potter, which I was and still am, right when we're done building our house here, which is like 4 months more. Till we move into our home on our permaculture farm here in Costa Rica. I'll be building my ceramic studio right away, making pots. I make functional ceramics. If you've been a follower of me for a long time, you remember my college videos making ceramics, vases, bowls, big bowls, small bowls, mugs, plates, teacups, everything functional, and it's my passion. And Like when I was in high school, I was just full on studying ceramics, going to galleries and getting inspired, making my own stuff, selling it. I got jobs teaching ceramics in college. I wanted to be a full-on artist, full time. And I was into some elements of fashion and just the whole idea of art and culture in that way. That was my shit. Before transferring to Colorado College and studying environmental policy and science, I started my college career in art school because I literally thought I was going to be full on. I wanted to inspire people with art and live the art lifestyle. And then once I got into veganism and nature and sustainability, that took priority over what I wanted to study and invest in. So my life before I was vegan was kind of hipster, LA art, thinking I was going to pursue that full time, and now I do all that stuff as well, but my priority is learning about ecology and permaculture. But you see, I'm an artist. I'm a weird tattooed artist. I love art and culture. Have a great day, everybody. Be confident. Do something to increase your level of self-love. What I recommend is go out and run or swim or do jumping jacks or do yoga to build up your heart rate and get those endorphins going so you actually start to love yourself more chemically. That just happens when you move your body. Then you watch this video, that's great. Read some spiritual philosophy to get you thinking outside the box. Call up a friend who needs some love. Acts of service feel so good. And eat healthy, eat mindful. It's worth it because we deserve to love ourselves more, be more confident so that we can pursue our passions with more vigor. Please comment down below about anything you heard in this video that you don't like, you want to discuss with me. We'll chat about it. And if you could also leave a comment saying some points or things you heard in the news or some topics or questions you have that you want me to address in tomorrow's sadhana, please leave that as well. If you like my videos and you like my services that I provide of these vids, my Insta story, all that, go drop $2 or $5 on my Patreon per month. It's very little for the amount that I post, and I post my yoga flows on there and the Plantreon podcast. So I record a podcast every few days where I get deep and even more personal than these videos, talking about shit in my life, relationships, sobriety, my struggles, trying to inspire you guys through my stories, and I post it exclusively on my Patreon. So you go on there, patreon.com/plantriotic, and pledge $2 or $5 per month, and it supports our farm life here, what we're building. We're building a vegan yoga permaculture retreat center with cabins so that you guys can come and enjoy our life and actually hang out with us in person and eat the fruit and herbs and veggies that we're growing. That's real shit. That's what I'm doing. And by supporting me on Patreon, you help fulfill that for us and make it easier for us to make it happen. Much love, Dream Extreme. Have a great day. Hare Krishna.